What's going on, everyone? Redcat just released this, the Ascent 18, a 1/18th scale version of the 1/10th scale type comp crawler that they released back in September. And it's a pretty decent looking little setup. Today, we're going to go over all of the details of this, show you what they put in, but then we're also going to customize it because along with the release of this truck, Redcat also has a bunch of aftermarket parts already available and they sent them all to me. So we're going to dig through what they came out with, decide on which parts we want to install, and then maybe we'll take it a little bit further, design up some parts, maybe 3D print something and just make it our own right away. But before we do that, let's go over the details of this truck, what you get, what it is, and how it feels. First off, let's just go over some of the dimension stuff. The wheelbase on this is about 153 millimeters, and the width outside of tire to outside of tire is about 130. Now, the width is increased slightly by the fact that this is a portal axle truck. So it's got portals. The axles themselves look fairly similar to scaled down axles that you'll find on the 1/10 scale Redcat vehicles. So kind of a cool touch as far as that goes. Portals will of course increase your clearance, but they do raise the truck up and create some width generally at the same time. But the axles themselves look, fairly stout. Of course, this is a brand new truck. Runtime could show weaknesses. It's hard to say, but there doesn't appear to be any major, glaring things that would be identifiable out of the box. The body is modeled after the 1/10th scale Ascent, and it has a similar system here. It's got a clipless body mount, so you turn this little wing nut in the back and that allows it to hinge forward. Now, if you want to remove it completely, you just slide it forward. That rear clipless system is mounted through this back molded part on the tailgate there. The front, it's got that C-shaped clip to slide over this post in the front, and that's held in through the grill, but I believe that the screws are covered up with the decal on that grill. So the body itself does have clear windows, which is nice, and it feels really nice. The Lexan thickness or quality feels like a 10 scale body, and with as small as these are, sometimes you don't get quite that feel, but actually it does feel good. Clear windows are a bonus in case you want to add any details, which maybe we'll do here in a little while. Underneath of the body though is where more of the fun stuff happens. We do have a nice large diameter shock on this, so it's got an actual shock feeling to it. Now, it feels like this likely has oil in it. We'll have to open those up and check just to see if that is the case. We've got one of the larger size motors. I believe this is like a 180 size or something like that. More like the TRX-4M. This reminds me like more of a TRX-4M than something like an SCX-24. Not by design itself, but just kind of overall size and scale and part size in general. It does have the same, like mid-mounted style battery, but it's an aluminum stamped chassis front to rear with the shock towers integrated. So you do have some adjustability on shock towers depending on if you want to, change just geometry to make the suspension softer or firmer, raise, lower, those type of things. The battery is a nice large 2S 750 milliamp LiPo. It does come with a USB charger, as is pretty standard at this point. And the radio is very familiar to radios we've seen from them before. The radio does show controls for 4 channels, but the receiver that's in here looks like it is a 3-channel. So it does appear that you have an open slot. Channels 1 and channel 3 or where you can plug in. Channel 1 is going to be your steering. Channel 2 is just the ESC, which this is a 2-in-1, so you don't have an output for that. And then channel 3 will be your auxiliary in case you have something that you want to install down the road. The 2-in-1 ESC receiver has a 5-volt, 1-amp BEC output. So the stock servo is a 4-kilogram servo. Should run that just fine, but if you try and get super high up in power, you're probably going to need to swap in something that's got a higher amperage BEC, but for now I don't see that this is going to be an issue. A lot of the design in this in general is very familiar to the Redcat Ascent in the 10th scale, like the slider design style and just how a lot of the little aspects look. They definitely took that and tried to bring it into this, but overall it's a pretty straightforward platform. The tires are a decent feeling, nice and soft, and they're kind of a Maxxis Trepador look, although they aren't licensed. You have white molded wheels, and I think that these are a standard 1-inch wheel. I mentioned that the axles are a portal axle. That center gear is a ring and pinion, so not a worm drive gear, so you are going to have that smooth roll on the bench rather than like that locked up style worm gear. But sometimes that can mean that you don't have the slow, smooth control. So let's plug it in and give it a shot. Batteries for the radio are not included, so you will need 4 AA's. Initial throttle is, that's about as slow as it wants to go without any, load. Once you actually get up to an obstacle and need to push into it, control isn't bad. I think that that larger motor that it has helps a lot. Now, actual resolution and things like that maybe could be better, but at the same time, it's actually got a decent amount of speed. And I think that could definitely be beneficial if you're talking about, kids or someone who wants something a little bit faster to zip around, but is still capable enough. Suspension is smooth though. The truck feels pretty predictable. But for an option right out of the box at this price, which at launch, this is being offered for $99. I probably should have hit that way earlier, but 99 bucks. And the build quality feels much higher than what you would expect for 99 bucks. Now, one of the other areas that you may care about is the steering angle. Now, it's not going to be a class leading steering angle if you're taking into account all of the aftermarket options and things like that. Being that this was derived from the 1/10 scale comp oriented truck, it is nice that it's got bumpers that are nice and tight to the body and don't protrude out past the front of the tires. Rear bumper, same option there, pretty much right even with the tires. So you're gonna be able to pull up to objects and drive up them without having to drive around a front bumper. Tire height out of the box measures 60 millimeters. Out of the box, this is just a pretty solid looking little platform. The only oddities to me are like the rear wheel well placement being way back there and then having this kind of like weird fender flare lip thing. The front as well. The front looks less unnatural. The rear looks pretty unnatural to me. But that's a pretty minor thing. You can trim those bodies up for more clearance, especially if you want to run bigger tires. No big deal. Those are things that I could let slide and not really think twice about. But the next exciting part of this is let's get into these aftermarket parts. They are making aftermarket parts for this truck in multiple colors and materials. They have a bronze color aluminum version. They have a red aluminum version, and they have brass, which is painted black. So the ones that look kind of brass are not brass. Those are aluminum. The ones that look like aluminum are brass. A little bit confusing, but you're not going to mistake what one is versus the other when you're holding them. And you probably will just choose beforehand. You won't have a huge pile of them sitting in front of you. I don't know where to start with all these, so we're just going to go from my left to right based on how I piled them up here. We're going to start with the servo holder, they say, but I've got 3 options here: a bronze aluminum version, a red aluminum, and a brass. Next, we have skid plates. The same situation: bronze, aluminum, red, and brass. Then we have a huge pile of links. These are going to be your steering and suspension links in, guess what? All of the same options. These 2 would be the ones I'd be the most excited about. These are the brass inner portal box and brass outer portal box. So front knuckles giving you some forward low weight so you can tune this out. These only come in this brass option. Then we have shock bodies, and these only come in aluminum, not brass, and we have them in the bronze or the red. We've got some brass wheel hexes. I believe that these are the stock width. Next, we've got steel transmission gears. This likely has plastic gears inside of the transmission, so some steel option sets available right away. Nice to have. And the width of the gears themselves look pretty decent. I actually wonder how long the plastic ones will hold up. So maybe we won't install these yet. We have a bronze aluminum servo horn. And lastly, we've got diff covers in all 3 of the option colors and materials. For the first step of this, I'm going to select the options that I want and get them installed, and then we'll come back and maybe dive into something custom. So after about an hour and a half of upgrades, we've got everything back together. Now I went through and picked and chose what I thought and what I wanted to install. And what I decided in the end was I installed the bronze shock bodies. I think those look good. I think it's a good contrast since the caps are still red on this. I assume that those caps are red no matter the body color. So even if you get blue, you're gonna get red caps, which is a little weird. But I've got the bronze bodies with the red cap. On the front, I did a brass diff cover. I did the brass steering link, and there is no replacement link for the link between the servo horn and the knuckle. I thought that was maybe a little bit weird. Maybe that'll be sold separately down the line, but for now I still have the plastic link going from that servo horn over. I did put the bronze servo horn on. For the links, I mixed and matched. I did the brass lower links and then the bronze colored aluminum upper links, just to put the weight where it's lowest, but still change the uppers. So mixed and matched a little bit there. And then I did throw in that brass skid plate. That is a hefty chunk of brass though, and it adds a solid amount there in the middle. So one thing to note that skid plate is directional. So it only goes in, or the transmission will only bolt in one way. It will bolt into the chassis either direction. So make sure that you pay attention to that as you go. Otherwise you'll be disassembling again. In the rear, I installed the bronze colored aluminum diff cover rather than the brass, just to not add so much weight in the rear. I did put the brass hexes on all the way around. And of course we did put the brass knuckles on. So it got significantly heavier. I didn't take a before weight. I probably should have, but with those updates, it's got a nice front bias right in front of the, right at those front link mounts, roughly. So a nice little update. Now it's about 8 o'clock now, and I'd love to just make this a little bit more custom. So I'm going to take the opportunity and take this one step further. After a quick 3D scan, an hour of CAD, and an hour and a half of 3D printing, I ruined the body. No, I removed the roof, 3D printed up a quick cage, no interior yet. This was just something to do quickly to change the look up a little bit more, but I like it. I like the topless style that we got going on here. It makes the cab area look a little bit longer. The cab looked a little short initially, so and it actually works out. The body, being that the body is a decent Lexan, even without the cage installed, it was still pretty rigid. It's a pretty impressive little body, but this just changes it up a little bit more, and why not? If you want the cage file for this, I'll host it on my website, and you can download it. And while I was waiting for that 3D print, I mounted up some J-Concepts megalithics on some aluminum beadlock wheels. Just, I had them sitting around, and I had a little bit of time while I was waiting, but it's substantially different now than when we started, but just a cool little base that's ready to be customized on. I'm sure that you guys will come up with your own twists on it as well. If you're interested in the Ascent 18, I'll put a link to where you can find all the information below on the Redcat site. You can jump on that introductory pricing if it's something you are interested in. And with that, as always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already. And hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm doing this outro just in case the next step that I'm about to take doesn't work out. Then I can just end it here. And if you're seeing this, there's a good chance that I screwed something up.